right, good morning, everybody. Is it streaming? I hope it is. It says it's streaming. All right, well, good morning. I will go ahead and start talking. Hopefully it's working. All right, good morning. My name is Samantha Mirabal. I'm with Melco's application team. And today we're going to be going over whatever questions were sent in for DesignShop. So if you have any, feel free to type them in. And we'll go from there. So I'll start with the ones that were sent in. So we had a question that said, is it possible to find a specific stitch number in DS that I can move the machine to in OS? I know how to do the move, but it would be really nice rather than guessing and moving, just moving to random stitches. So yeah, if you go find whatever file you want. So I'm just going to open a file. Okay, so whatever file you're trying to modify, if you select it, and let's say I want to go somewhere in, I don't know, this pair. This pair. All right. So if I select the element and right here I go toggle, I go this button right here where it's expanded point editing mode. If I select whatever stitch it is I want to go to, over here on my project view, you'll see there's a tab that says stitches. If you click on that one, down here it'll show you what stitch number that is. It'll have it highlighted. So I'm at stitch 349, okay, for that one. And you'll notice as I click around, it'll select different stitches. So now I'm at 2757 for this one. So you can bounce around throughout your design by looking at the stitches tab to see what actual stitch number you're on. Okay, so if you just want to go to the start of a particular element, you can select the element, come over here, and you'll see where that element starts, and there's your stitch number. Okay, so that was one question we had. Another one, let's see. How to make a satin circle go the other way from middle to left. It always goes from right to left. Well, you would change your start and stops, or you can also flip it. So let's look at that. So if I do a new file, I have a satin circle. Let me go back to the project view, the other one. Too much data. All right. So if I have my circle and I do the redraw, you'll see it's sewing right to left. All right. If I select that shape and flip it right here, hit play, now it's going the opposite direction. All right. You can also play, if it's not a circle like this, you can always move your starts and stops around. The green circle is your start, the red X is your stop, and when you move those around, you'll then get them going into different locations. So it will trace a different direction. So I hope that answers that question. I want to be able to stitch something like this. So this kind of chain stitch that's around there, they said it looks like a chain stitch, but when I do the actual chain that comes with the software, it's huge and doesn't look right. So what do I do? Okay, so there's a bunch of different ways you can get this kind of effect, or several different ways. It really boils down to playing with decorative stitches. So let me close out some of this mess that I'm making. All right. So I have 3 different decorative type things drawn down here. Okay, and I'll zoom in on each so you can see the shapes. All right, so these, if you notice, they're just walk stitches. Okay, these are the 3 basic shapes. All right, so I've got this one. It's basically, a handful of stitches, a straight line, it comes back. So it starts here, we do a line, we draw an arc back and an arc forward, and we end on the same line that we started on. Okay, so that's one option. And what does that end up looking like? So once you create it, that shape, so that was just done with the walk normal, you can go right click on it, save custom shape, call it whatever you want. I've already, well, I'll just do it again. So right click, save custom shape. I'm going to call it test so I don't keep on overwriting my other stuff, and set it to be a decorative and say okay. Yes, I want to replace it. So now if I do decorative, change it to test, that'll give you this look here. All right. Well, what's another one we could do? So I'm going to delete that. So let's look at this other one. This one's more like a bean stitch that's a little bit wider. So you'll see it's just, again, a walk normal, which is this tool right here, starting on the red line and ending on the red line. That's important for the decoratives, that you make sure the start and stop are on the same position. And you'll see it's just a walk, back, forth, back. So kind of at an angle, and that gives you 3 stitches. So it's like a bean of 3, just a little bit wider. And again, you would select that, go to save custom shape, save it as whatever you want. I called that decorative wide bean. So you'll notice when you draw with your stitch, you get kind of a bean stitch that's a little bit wider. Okay, so that's another option you can do. The one that's more like a chain, that actually looks pretty close. So if you see this one here looks really close to what you have in that patch. So how did we do that? Well, down here, you'll see again, it's just drawing a walk. All right, so you take your walk normal. So it's start, back, comes back to about here, back over, and ends about here. So it's kind of like that shape, but without all the knots on there. So you've got to turn all those off. So if I turn off my defaults, you know, kind of looks like that. You can play with the shape until you get it right, but you can see here, that's all that was done here. It's a line up, back, down over here, back, making sure your start and stop end on the same line. And then from there, you go right click, save custom shape. I called that chain stitch V. So I'm going to go decorative. Where's chain V? And then when you use that, you'll see you get that kind of chain stitch look. All right. So there's no one or right answer. It's whatever you like. A true chain stitch you can't do with embroidery. So you're creating a faux stitch that looks similar to it. All right. Let's see. What else do we have? My Acrobat has been upgraded. Why doesn't it open up the PDF? I have no idea. The PDF should be still on your computer and you can go open it directly. You can always call tech support and show it to them and see if if it's a PDF file, it should automatically open when you go to open it. So I don't know what an Acrobat upgrade would have done to it. So I would just either go find the actual PDF and open it yourself from your hard drive, or call tech support and have them walk through it with a screen share. Another question we had was digitizing patches. How do we know the placement and tack down stitch size? Okay, so if you digitize your own patch, so let's say I have a circle and that's my tack down, right? So if I select it, down here it gives me my width and height of the shape that it's going to draw out. So you can select your tack down and placement stitches and see the sizes down here. This is within DesignShop. So, or you can always use this ruler to measure it across to get a rough size for it. I usually just look down here, select whatever it is I'm trying to get the dimensions of, and find it down here. Okay, so that'll give you the size of the shape, and it's with any shape. It doesn't have to be a circle. Whatever shape it is, down here it'll give you the height and the width of it. All right. What else? If you hit enter too soon with, say, the walking stitch tool, can you pick up where you left off, or do you have to start over? So your cheat is actually a good way to go about doing that. So that would be a good feature to add going forward. So I'm actually going to go ahead and put that in the feature list, or send that off to be added to the feature list. But what you can do now is, depending on how long you're digitizing, how far you have to go. So let's say, let me go actually get some art to trace. Oh, there it is. Lines. There. I'm going to open up this just to have something to trace. So let's say I'm going to trace this whole segment over here, right? So I go into my lines, my walk normal, and I would trace along. And the question is, well, if right here I hit enter, what do I do? Well, you just start near that propeller and just keep going. So just add a new element. It's not going to continue that same one, but you just keep going. All right, and your properties that you give for the shape itself will decide whether it's just going to keep on sewing or whether you need to do a knot, a tie-in or a tie-off, you know, those sorts of things. You know, that if you're really close to the end, so let's say, almost there. All right, so let's say I hit enter there, okay, and I meant to go to this end. Well, in that case, I can just move the point and fix it, add additional points if I need, and drag them down to get the shape. So that would be keeping it within the same element. Otherwise, you know, if you've got a long way to go, just start a new element and keep going, making sure your start point is near where the propeller was. Okay. All right, what else? Okay, can I have the winning lottery numbers? I don't have them. I wish I did. Let's see. Can a purchase filed, not native OFM, be sewn by color sequence rather than, okay, step or feet? Basically, you're asking, can we color sort? So, yes and no. So let me show you what I mean. All right, so I'm going to open an EXP file, which is it would not be a OFM. Okay, so I've got these stars here. And let's say I want to sew 4 of them out, you know, a step repeat. So I can select the entire design. I can go up to Object, Step Repeat. Say I want 2 columns and 2 rows. I can hit Preview, set the spacing, okay. All right, so now I have 4 copies being sewn out. But you notice it's doing complete sew outs of each design before it moves to the next one. So the question was, well, can I just make it so all this color 1 first, so all the red, then all the green, then all the gold? Yes, you can, but be careful doing that sort of thing. So to do that, you would have to manually move them around. So there's the first one. I would then grab this one, drag it up, grab that one, left click and drag, move it up, left click and drag, move it up. And then I can select all of these and merge the color just by clicking on this little thing here to merge it into the one above it. Okay, and then I, you know, rinse, repeat. So do that for all the green ones, drag them up. I can select the top one, hold the control key down, select the end one. Now they're all selected, and then over here, click on the green. And then I would have to bring all these up out of separate designs. Delete these 3 guys because they're not needed. So select, delete, and then merge these 3 or 4. Okay, I'd have to put trims in because of how this is set up between the different elements. So you can see here, I'm just adding trims between each of these. Select it, hit a trim, it'll put it afterwards. Insert a trim. Okay, so this will color sort it for you, but remember when I said yes, but be careful doing this. When you're sewing repeats, and when you're sewing in general, it's always better to finish as you go. All right, you'll get better sew out results that way because you're going to have less shift. You'll be able to sew. But think of it this way: if I'm going to do like text with outlines around all the letters, right? I don't know if you've ever tried it, but if you sew all the text and all the outlines, usually by the time you get to one end or the other, it's just not lining up anymore. And that's because of push-pull, things move around. Well, to avoid that, you always finish as you go. So you would sew the first letter, do the outline. So the second letter, do the outline, because you're going to get a better quality sew out doing that. So when you're doing step repeats like this, you're always going to have better luck and you'll get cleaner sew outs if you finish as you go. So finish one, then the next, then the next. It does require more color changes, but if I go back to where we started from, I'll tell you about a trick, right? So if I, oops, all right, let's insert that star again. Let's do the step repeat again. Object, step repeat, 2 and 2. Okay. All right. Notice it's only 3 colors that keep on repeating. So when you go program your machine to actually set up your colors, you don't have to program all 12 colors. You can program 3 colors and, you know, for the one design. And what the machine will actually do is it'll sew the first color, sew the second color, sew the third color. When it comes around, now it's going to need to color change to color 4. Well, since there's no more that have been programmed in, it'll go back to the first color change again. So it'll cycle through this and just rinse repeat for you. So it saves you that hassle of having to program, particularly if you're doing 20 elements at once, you know, 20 repeats with 5 color changes each. That's 100 different color changes that no one wants to sit there and program themselves. Well, all you really have to do is program the 5, and it will rinse repeat as it goes through the elements. All right. I don't see any other questions that were typed in, and I think that was all the questions I was sent. So I hope this was helpful today. So remember to send in your questions. You can type them in. You know, I try to post on Wednesday or Thursday asking for questions in various groups across the internet. You can also send them to applications@melco.com, and we'll get the questions on our list for this week. You can always type them into the thing. I did review last week's, and I'll do that again next week. I'll review whatever was the week before to see if there's any new ones that we need to cover or that were typed in after the fact. But have fun sewing, and be sure to ask your questions. All right, I will talk to you guys next time.